Hey everybody, Bladesofgod here from Hammer Bros Gaming, coming at you with our newest Gears Tactics Immortal Legion Achievement Guide. This guide is going to be covering the Act 2-8 side mission, Fearsome Tiger and Phantom Overlord. Fearsome Tiger is a Scavenger run style mission, and Phantom Overlord is a Vasgar Sabotage. We've run both of these mission types before. It's not bringing anything all that new to the table as far as new enemy types or game mechanics, so it's going to be a pretty straightforward guide, but I'm still going to take you through step by step, show you the tactics, the gear, the characters that I use to get through these missions, and make us, hopefully, get us one step closer to getting that Immortal Legion achievement. If you're not familiar with what the Immortal Legion achievement is, it is an achievement in Gears Tactics that tasks you with completing the entirety of the campaign, start to finish, on the highest difficulty without losing a single soldier in combat. The good news is, if we do lose a soldier, if something goes wrong, we can restart our mission, restart our act, reload a checkpoint. Doesn't invalidate the achievement at all, and makes things a little more forgiving. But it is a Gears game on Insane, so it is going to be tough. But other than that, yeah, there's not much else to say. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to check out the video. If you find this video or this video series helpful, please consider liking and subscribing, or leaving a comment letting me know what you found helpful, what you could use more clarification on, and I'll do my best to answer those questions. But that's enough gabbing from me. Let's get right into the video, because I'm sure that's what everyone's here for. So as usual, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the characters we're going to be running for the mission. Unfortunately for this mission, we're only running one character, so I guess it would be, we'll take a look at the character we're running. And since it's a Scavenger run, we're going to be running Marcella the Scout. So we're going to swap out all of her grenade armor or grenade-based skills for skills that are going to help her with better movement. So that means we're going to be swapping out her UIR armor for the Ranger kit. Her helmet is going to stay as the UIR regulator, and then the UIR holsters are going to become the Ranger treads with increased movement. We don't have anything for her Nasher to increase the movements, her movement range. Normally there is I think a barrel that increases the movement range, but we don't have that. So the only things that you really need to focus on are making sure that you have any armor that's going to give you additional ability points, skill cooldowns, or movement range equipped. We also have her sprint ability at level 1. She has extended cloak, free cloak, so she gets an extra action point when she cloaks. But other than that, those are the only skills we're really going to absolutely need for this mission. There are a few others like Nimble that allow you to gain an action point whenever you interact with an item, and a few others that increase your cloak ability. Like I think we have I can't remember what it's, Stalker, so our range of movement is increased when we're cloaked. But anyway, let's get into the actual mission here. You see that I grabbed a case there on my first turn. There's a couple of cases on this sort of plateau before we have to go down a ladder. But something to remember about your Scavenger run missions is that there are no enemies on the map when you start. So you're able to use your first turn freely. You don't need to worry about being in cover or cloaking or anything like that. So I went ahead, grabbed that first case, and then moved up as far as I could, knowing that enemies that are dropped by Reavers don't attack on that turn. So I moved up, waited for the enemies to drop, and then based on where they are, now we're trying to figure out what our next move is. So I've advanced up, and the problem that I'm facing right now is that there's no good cover that's going to protect me from that Theron guard and the Juvies. So I need to move far enough away from the Theron guard and the Juvies that I don't get hit by the melee attacks. But I'm trying to find somewhere that I can get cover where I have a chance of not getting hit by a torque bow. So unfortunately I decide this is the best case scenario. I could have used my cloak at this point, but then I would have had to leave behind that purple epic case that's right behind that wind turbine, and I really want that. And the reason I'd have to leave that behind is because if I interact with an item, then I lose my cloak. So I went into this corner and I decided to risk it. Thankfully the wretches couldn't reach me, and the Theron guard hit me, but because I have the Demolition Expert skill, I actually take reduced explosive damage, and I was still in half cover. So I managed to survive taking a torque bow hit with 63 health left. And then you could see that the skill for Blitz activated, so I actually gained an extra action point, which is great, because that got me far enough over here to grab my third case, and I still have an additional action point to cloak myself. So I'm going to go ahead and cloak, and because of the free cloak ability, I gain an additional action point, and I can get down this ladder and into the bottom half of the map. So when you get down here, you're going to have some more enemies drop in on you, but again, you're cloaked right now. They don't know where you are, they can't hurt you, so not a big deal. And I'm actually going to be going for that topmost case before I leave the map. So we're going to get 4 out of 5 cases on this run, which isn't bad at all. So here we go. Blitz did not activate that time, so I've only got 3 action points available. But again, that's okay because my cloak, my extended cloak is still, or the skill is still working, I guess you would say. So instead of being visible this turn, I'm still invisible, and I'm going to use my sprint skill to move myself as close to this case as I can, knowing that during this enemy turn I'm still going to be cloaked, still going to be safe. So all I'll have to do next turn is grab the case and then hop into the extraction ring. Somehow those enemies kind of closed in on me, just because I think the AI is cheating a little bit. But whatever, not a big deal. They can't do anything to stop me. And here's one of the fun things about scavenger missions. As those nemesis come down, if any of the locusts get stuck in the blast zone, they get blown up. And that's just sort of satisfying to see happen. So it's enjoyable for me. Maybe you won't find it as amusing, but I find it to be quite funny. So there we go. There's the scavenger run done. We also actually had the optional objective, which I didn't mention beforehand, of completing it the entire mission in less than, I think it was 15 turns. We still had 6 turns left, so we definitely got the optional objective done as well, and we managed to get 4 out of 5 cases, so that's good. Let's see what we got for loot here. We're going to open up our the cases that we earned. 3 rare and 2 epic, so not too bad. Rapid mag is kind of but the cadet chest plate is pretty good. Commando vest is okay, and then the other 2, the precision mag and the precision sights, are not terrible, but we either aren't going to be using them or we have better versions of those available already. So for our second mission, we're going to be running the Vazgar Sabotage Phantom Overlord mission. And for characters, we're going to be taking our 3 primary characters, so Sid, Gabe, Sid, and Michaela. And for our 4th, we're going to actually end up taking Who Sandbag Holmes, our heavy. Now, before we actually get into the mission itself, let's go ahead and take a look at the character skills and setups that we're going to be using. So for Gabe, we'll take a look at his Lancer first. We have equipped for the stock, we have the Overwatch stock for the patrol skill, Expert Mag, Precision Scope, Power Barrel for 30 damage. And then for his skills, we have High Powered Shot level 2, Distracting Fire, Revved Up, Chainsaw Rush, Weak Point, Chainsaw Attack Mastery, Empower, and Command. His snub is a level 2 snub, and he has a standard frag. For a helmet, he has the Onyx helm, currently for 3% evasion and optics. For his upper armor, he's running the Commando vest, 7% evasion and potential, which gives you a 40% chance for a random skill to cool down by 2 turns. And then for his legs, we've got the Hunter braces with 7% evasion and glory, which allows for skills to have a chance to cool down as well. Taking a look at Sid, we're going to take a look at his Retro Lancer. We've got the Epic Sleek Stock, Epic Precision Mag, the Legendary Digital Scope, and the Rare Power Barrel. So he's set up for a lot of damage output. His skill tree, we have Hemorrhage Expertise, Raid Shot level 1, Recharging Bayonet, Free Bayonet, and Rage Bayonet, Executioner, Intimidate, and Regeneration. His helmet, he's running the Onyx Helm for 7% evasion and the Optics skill. In his upper armor, he was still currently running the Veteran Armor for 30 health. But we've got the Cadet Chestplate, the Epic Cadet Chestplate, which gives stabilizers and health. So we could switch him over to that. And then we have the boots. He was still running the Veteran Leg Guards, but we're going to actually scroll him all the way down and swap him out for the UIR, the common UIR holsters. The reason we don't give him the rare ones is because those are for Marcella. She's traveling right now, so I can't swap out her armor. But those are for her, and I don't want to get into the mindset of those are for somebody else. Looking at Michaela, we've got the Padded Stock, Sleek Bolt, we got the Rare Holographic Scope, and the Rare Wrap Barrel for increased damage and critical chances. For her skills, we got Precision Shot level 1, Fast Fingers level 2, Ultimate Shot, Run and Gun, Chain Shot level 2, Active Reload, and Sharpshooter. Her pistols, the level 2 pistol, she's got standard frags. Her helmet is the Onyx Retro Helmet, which is a rare for 5% evasion and advanced optics. She's running the Cadet Chestplate for plus 20 health and stabilizers. And then for her legs, we are running the Onyx Greaves for 7% evasion and the Double Down skill, which is every time you take a shot, you get plus 5 damage. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to swap out the Cadet Chestplate with Sid. So she's going to have the increased chance of, or the increased accuracy while in cover. So you can see Sid now has the rare instead of the epic cadet chest plate. So him and Michaela just switched. So looking at who sandbag homes, we have Ultra Shot, Heat Up level 2, Reckless Shot level 2, Enhanced Anchor, and Anchor for skills. His armor, we've got the UIR Regulator for the Blast Zone skill. So his grenades are going to have a little bit wider radius. He's got the Common Chest Plate for stabilizers and 15 health currently. And I'm kind of looking to see if I have something better that I can swap him out for, but I really like having stabilizers on the stabilizer skill on my heavies. So we stick with that, and then he has the Common Onyx Greaves for double down, which is also very good. I realized I forgot to show what I had for his mulcher setup, so I apologize for that, but just you run whatever you can. I think I have I've got a barrel that does 20% plus 20 damage and disrupt, and that's the big thing. You want to have disrupt on as many weapons as you can, just to stop enemies from moving around and having free range of movement. So that's the big thing. Make sure that you don't let those opportunities go by. If you can put disrupt on a weapon, please do, even if it means sacrificing a little bit of damage output. Alright, so taking a look at the mission itself, this is a Sabotage, which Sabotages and Incursions are pretty much the exact same mission. We're going to fight through some enemies, raise a bridge or open a gate, and then fight through some more enemies to get to an objective, then get to the extraction zone. You can see right now I'm just scanning the first part of the battlefield to see if there were any cases that I need to grab, and I did find one in the northwestern part of the map. So I'm going to make a mental note of that, so I make sure I get over there to grab that. And to start off, I'm not going to be real aggressive with my movements. I'm going to keep my units kind of held back a little bit and not maximize or utilize all of their action points, because at first I had no idea where the enemies were. So you could see when I moved Gabe up there, I found that there are a lot of wretches that were to the west initially, or the northwest of my starting point. So this means that I can start setting up my overwatches to cover the pathways that they will take, or I predict that they will take, to try to get to my units. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to double up our overwatches and have kind of the, I guess you'd call it the bottom and the right path out of this little courtyard covered. Works out well. There's the disrupt that I was talking about on whose weapon. That drone got knocked back, wasn't able to advance as much as he liked, so that stops one of them. Now the wretches are going to come down, and this is exactly what I thought was going to happen. So this worked out really well. We took out one of the wretches with Gabe's overwatch, so that was great. And now all we ended up with was a couple of overwatch cones that really is only affecting Gabe. So we're going to move Michaela because she has that run and gun ability, and that gives me a plus 50% damage when I move. So we like that. It gives me a critical hit on that drone, which is just excellent. Then we're going to use a frag grenade on these drones to take one of them off the map, ideally two, and it was able to hit just right to take both of these drones down. So both those drones are off the map thanks to Gabe. That also activates Weak Point, which gives a plus 5% damage to enemies when Gabe kills an enemy. So that worked out really well, and now that these wretches are all nice and tucked in closely together, we're going to use Sid's grenade to take 3 of the wretches off the map as well. So if you put your units kind of where I have mine, and the enemies spawn in roughly the same place, you should see a similar movement pattern from the enemy units, which means you will have those wretches cluster up together, because in my experience the wretch AI is very, very simplistic. It's similar to the grenadier AI, where once they see your units, they're going to take the most direct path to the closest unit to try to do damage. And you can sometimes use that to bottleneck them, like I did right up on that platform, and get all of them kind of scrunched in together, and gives you the opportunity to use a grenade and take multiple units off the map in one turn. Alright, so now we're going to move on. We cleared kind of the first wave of enemies, and I moved up a couple of my units just to overwatch that courtyard, because 3/4 of my units are kind of huddled around that building. I had anticipated that the drones would be coming down a little bit more and not moving laterally as much, but then I did not realize I had 2 of the grenadiers who were going to be advancing into the courtyard. And I got very fortunate. I've said it before that when dealing with grenadiers, I try my best to only enrage one of them at a time, because when you enrage a grenadier, it gets an increased movement range and a buff to both its defense and offensive stats. So it's going to be able to do more damage and take more damage. Not something you want to have multiple grenadiers doing at once. So thankfully my overwatch only hit one of the grenadiers. It only enraged one of the grenadiers. And now I'm going to try my best to use Gabe and Sid with their retro charge and their chainsaw to take these guys off the map and not have to worry about them anymore, because regardless of how much health these guys have, one shot or a chainsaw or a retro charge is going to take them out. So that's the strategy I use for dealing with them. And I decided to enrage the other Grenadier right there because I wanted to have access to either of them. And what was happening was that before they become enraged, the Grenadiers have a area attack or a proximity attack. So if you get too close to them, even if it's during an attack animation like the chainsaw or the retro charge, they're going to stop you with a shotgun blast, and if you enrage them, they lose that proximity attack, but like I said, they gain the buffs of more damage and more defense. So it's kind of a trade-off. You don't want to enrage them until you're sure that you can take them off the map that turn with a one-shot attack. But enough talking about the Grenadiers, let's focus on the rest of these enemies. Both the Grenadiers are off the map, in case you missed that little bit. And now we've got these two drones who are kind of camped out in that little, I don't know what you want to call it. It's not really a trench, but they're kind of camping out over there, and they've got the Overwatch working. And Michaela is going to whiff on this, which I don't blame her. It was a 29% chance to hit, and she still missed. So that was expected, but, you know, every once in a while, one of those unpredictable shots or unexpected shots does hit. So I decided to take it, missed, no big surprise there. And now we're going to see what the enemy does. So this caught me off guard. I did not expect the drones to be advancing back, kind of going back the other way where they started from, and going after Sid and Gabe. I honestly thought that they were going to be focusing more on Michaela and Who. So I had to do a little bit of strategic reorganizing, so to speak. And thankfully, with Sid's ability to intimidate, I knocked them both out of their Overwatch. So that was good. That gave me the chance to use Gabe and to at least down, or I would have downed this enemy with a high-powered shot. But again, since that didn't hit, now I'm left to try to, again, reorganize my strategy. I'm down to one action point with both Sid and Gabe, who are the closest units. I'm going to move Michaela up to try to get a better shot, and again, because we have the run and gun ability active, I get additional 50% damage on movements. Unfortunately, she missed. I was trying to use the fast finger skill to reload my weapon as well, so kind of out of luck there. I'm going to double down on Michaela and empower her with Gabe, because now I'm going to try the Ultra Shot and hopefully refill all of my action points, which that one does hit, thankfully. So now I've got 3 action points to work with, and because I used active reload on an empty weapon, I now have an additional 25% damage buff. So that's 75% damage on these attacks, but it's a total bust because she misses the next 2 shots. So we're now down to 1 attack with Sid and 3 attacks with Who, or 3 actions with Who, I should say. And really not much that I can do because Who is so far away that there's no way that I can move him up enough to do even an Overwatch that'll be effective. And you can see here I'm trying all the different locations to see if I can get an angle or something to sort of help out protect Gabe some. He's down to 80 health, so basically on Insane, if you know, a fly sneezes on him, he's going to die at this point. But whatever the case is, we're going to use Overwatch in the middle of this courtyard just to prevent the drones from advancing on Gabe and trying to get a better angle on him. One of the things I was worried about while I was recording this was that the drone who isn't down is going to revive the drone who is down, but thankfully he decided to run away and let his friend die. So he's overwatching his buddy, which isn't going to do much, but it is a lucky break for me. By all rights, that probably should have ended this run because one more shot, like I said, one shot on Gabe would have been enough to kill him. So that should have been game over, but it's not, so we're going to keep rolling. We're going to move up Sid, and we're going to use Disruptive Shot with our snub. That knocks out the Overwatch and gives Gabe the chance to run up here and execute this downed enemy, which is going to give everybody an additional action point and trigger command, which is going to heal him just a little bit. So now we're down to one enemy left on the board for this first half of the map. We're going to move Michaela up, and because she had the additional action point from the execution, she has 4 action points to work with right now. 2 of them are going to be put into movement. That leaves me 2 to actually attack with. So we're going to shoot, and it missed. So she's on a roll of missing. That's 3 shots in a row that she missed. So we're going to try using a frag, see if we can reach. Unfortunately, we can't really reach, so that's not going to work. So instead, we're going to start considering what other options we have. We have 2 action points with Sid, and we know that but unfortunately his recharging bayonet isn't working, so we're just going to try shooting, and thankfully we got a critical hit, and that took that drone off the map. So now the only thing we have to worry about before activating the bridge is making sure we grab that legendary case the epic case that's on the northwest corner of this first half of the map. We're going to just take these action points and advance our units up as much as we can. And I say this in every video that has a gate or a bridge or something like that that you need to breach and get through or get across. Do not wait too long to initiate opening the door or raising a bridge. The reason I say that is because the game will throw boomers at you. So you don't want that. And when I say throw boomers at you, I mean it will literally drop boomers directly on top of you, and you're going to have 1 turn to try to take out 2 boomers, which have a combined 6,000 health. And even with upgraded units, that's not an easy task. So I wouldn't waste any more than 1 or 2 turns getting over here and lifting the bridge up. You can see I'm going to actually activate the bridge on this turn. I normally, like on lower difficulties, I've never seen the boomers drop in, so my strategy always used to be that I'm going to burn a few turns to make sure that my grenades and my skills are all cooled down before advancing, but apparently you don't get that luxury on Insane. So here comes the bridge. We've raised the bridge, and now we're on to the second half of the map. One thing to take note of in this mission is that one of the modifiers, or the modifier, was that enemies get 20% evasion. So the reason that Michaela was missing so much, the reason that the shots were missing frequently, or I'm only getting partial hits, is because all enemies get an additional 20% evasion. So that's not ideal. Our optional objective for this mission was to deploy 1 or more supports. We did do that, so we've already completed the optional objective, which is great. It means a little more loot or a little more equipment for us. And you can see we've got another epic case directly across the bridge, and then a rare case way up there to the left. We've got, for an enemy set for the second half of the map, we've got several sniper drones and several wretches, along with a grenadier and a few rifle drones. I think those are sniper drones. Maybe they're all rifle drones. So, whatever the case is, we're going to move Michaela up here onto this little bit of high ground. The reason we're doing that is because the high ground gives you a better hit chance, a better critical chance, so we want to keep our sniper on a high ground whenever we can, even if it's a tiny little bit of elevation like this. And we're not going to move very far from this area here. We're not going to try to push into all of these enemies. We're going to actually set up and let them come to us for a couple of reasons. This is my normal strategy anyway when it comes to these maps, even on lower difficulties, because it's very easy. You can see there's 3 different pathways enemies can take, so it's very simple, very easy for them to surround you. And you can use this bridge as a choke point and a fallback point if you need to. You can actually plant a couple of grenades on this bridge to stop the enemies if you've got to fall back and get to safety if you feel like you're getting overrun. But also, because of that evasion, the evasion modifier on this level, I really don't want to risk wasting my action points to move. I'd rather focus on shooting as much as we can, because I know that there's an increased chance, about 1 in every 5 shots is going to miss, based solely on that evasion stat, not counting the regular enemy's evasion stats. So you want to maximize the amount of shots you can take, and to do that, we need to minimize the amount of movement we're going to do. So anyway, we got Michaela right back up top here. She's still on the high ground. We used a grenade from Sid to knock out a couple of overwatches, and you can see I'm prioritizing the lower hit chance, the lower percentages for hit chance on the enemies first. So that way I have the highest chance of hitting when I use a skill like the chain shot skill. So I did hit it with chain shot, which allowed me to reload, so that gives me the active reload, and now I was able to hit that same enemy with another shot and down him. So he's not off the map, but he is out of commission for the moment. We're going to use a grenade from Who to... Nope, no we're not. So who has the heat up skill? The heat up skill gives you 25% damage, plus you gain an action point, so it's just for this turn, an action buff. Now I'm going to use a grenade to take out 2 of those wretches to make sure they're not going to be able to get up here on the high ground with us and cause any trouble. Then I'm going to take a shot at an enemy, but unfortunately it's all 10% hit, so I just decide to take a shot at the wretch. It misses, which was expected, but I also got double down and a stack of anchored, so that's going to increase my accuracy and my damage as long as I don't move. So that's good. So even when you're shooting with a heavy, if you miss, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because you're going to actually get more accurate and more powerful with each shot. So there we go. His turns are done. It leaves me 2 action points with Sid and 3 with Gabe. I'm going to move Gabe up, and because he's so damaged, I really want to protect him as much as possible. So I'm trying to throw a grenade. There's nothing that I can hit, but instead of staying there in half cover, I'm actually going to fall him back to full cover to increase his defense and decrease the likeliness that he's going to be targeted by enemies. So since I wanted to do something useful with Gabe this turn, I actually empowered Michaela to hopefully be able to get another shot on somebody. We get a 69% hit chance there. I'm considering using Fast Fingers because now that it's at level 2, I actually gain an action point if I down the enemy, but unfortunately it missed, so it pretty much was a waste of the Empower and the Fast Finger skill. I realized Sid still had 2 action points, but there wasn't much I could do. I wasn't going to move him up any further and overextend him out of cover where he could be targeted. So I decided to end the turn, wait to see what the enemies were going to do, and then reevaluate the battlefield at that point. So we had quite a few enemies move in. We've got a couple of Overwatches on our high ground, which is not ideal. Sid does not have Disruptive Shot cooled off yet, but I know that Gabe has a grenade that we can use, so we're going to move him back up here. We're going to use his grenade specifically on the closest Overwatch drone, or the closest drone who's overwatching, and try to take that wretch off the board. So I'm able to land the grenade in just the right spot to do that. So now that the high ground units aren't being overwatched, they are going to be back in the fight. Also, because Gabe killed an enemy, he triggered command, which gave him just a little bit more health. And now who is still rocking his anchored status is more accurate, doing more damage. So I was able to kill the last wretch and down that rifle drone that we hit with the grenade. I realize that we're a little far away. It's only a 56% hit chance on that guy, but we're going to try it anyway. We miss, but that's expected, and we get an additional stack of anchored, so again, not a total waste. Then we have Michaela here, who has a 75% hit chance with a 57% crit, and boom, critical hit, puts another enemy into the down but not out status, which is not as good as killing them, but it's not too bad either. Now I got a 70% hit chance on this one. Wasn't expecting it to hit, and it didn't. So not too bad. We've taken one enemy off the board completely and downed a couple more. So pretty good turn for the units that I've used so far. And then I'm looking at Sid, trying to figure out what I could do with him. There really isn't much because of the distance and the hit percent chance. So I'm actually going to move him back because I've got a Grenadier who's advancing on us, and I don't want that Grenadier to try to rush Sid and kick him out of cover. So I fall him back to where Gabe is, also hoping to entice the enemies to advance further towards the bridge. It kind of works. A lot of them just sort of shuffle around in the same area, and they actually helped both of the down drones up, which, again, not great, but the trade-off is that now I have 4 enemies who are very close together. So you can see I'm cycling through my unit, seeing if anybody has a frag grenade that I could use to try to hit them. Michaela does, so I'm able to take both of these guys off the map and hit the Grenadier, which I actually did not mean to hit the Grenadier at this point because I wasn't ready to take him out or activate his Berserk status. So now I need to kind of change my plans on the fly, figure out what I'm going to do to deal with him. And the first thing I need to do is take out this overwatching drone because I can't get to the Grenadier with the overwatch on him. So thankfully the shot was a critical. It put the drone back into the down but not out status. I'm going to use Sid and his retro charge ability here. Thankfully I was able to get just far enough to get past that bit of cover. And I'm going to retro charge up, take the drone, the Grenadier off the board with the retro charge. And because I have the free bayonet skill, I gained an additional action point, which gives me 2 action points, so I can fall myself right back to the cover that I was in on my previous turn. Now, with Gabe, again, he's still hurting. He's only got 100 health right now, so I really want to keep him safe and keep him tucked away in full cover if possible. So we're going to go to work with Michaela. She's got one shot left. She's got one action point and one shot left. So I used Fast Fingers. Fast Fingers is going to reload my weapon if the enemy is downed or killed, which that drone was, and give me an additional action point. So I'm going to use that action point to target the highest percentage chance, which, boom, we get another drone down but not out. So now we have 4 enemies remaining. That's 2 drones who are in the DBNO status, which is down but not out. If you hear me say DBNO, it's down but not out. And then we've got 2 drones who are still up on their feet, which you can only see 3 here. The 4th one's actually back behind that set of stairs, or that turret, or whatever you want to call it, right near the actual objective. And here we have another grenadier who decided that he was going to start charging up a little closer. We got the bleed status effect going on him, and we've got a critical hit from Sid. So we did a lot of damage, and he may, like, even with just a regular shot, since bleed's going to give him 200 damage at the start of his next turn, a couple of regular shots would have been enough to kill him without a problem. So there was a couple of options there, but I wanted to use the chainsaw ability because Rush gave me an extra action point. And then I'm able to run up, execute one of the downed drones, and then fall Gabe back to cover. Gabe's up to 120 health now, which is looking a little better. Still not great. I'm going to move Michaela up here and grab this epic case because we want that loot to improve our units. And then I'm going to fall her back to the best cover that I can with 2 action points. The only thing I'm concerned about right now is the one drone who's still on his feet, but I'm kind of thinking he's going to do that stutter step thing where he doesn't move very far. Just to be safe, I do fall Michaela back to the high ground, and we're going to push Sid up a little bit, kind of use the tankiness of him to hopefully draw fire, or at least draw the attention of that one drone who's still in the fight. Of course, I miss with Sid's pistol shot to try to take this drone off the board permanently, but who's there to clean it up with his snub? So we're down to 1 enemy remaining, 1 enemy on the map, and he is, like I said, and like I was counting on, just doing that foolish little stutter step thing where he only moves a couple of steps and then waits. Unfortunately, where he's at, I can't really get a good angle on him to get shots off because his Overwatch is actually covering the majority of the pathway up. So I'm going to actually Overwatch his Overwatch with the hopes that he's going to push himself up a little bit and try to get at us. It's not a very offensive based or a very, fancy strategy, but by stacking all my Overwatches right there, if he were to try to run around the corner, he would be like absolutely demolished. Unfortunately, he doesn't do that. He doesn't do what I want him to do. He's just going to keep falling back and Overwatching behind him. So we're going to move our units up a little bit, use a frag grenade to try to blow him up. Unfortunately, this is not quite enough damage to take him off the map, but it did disrupt his Overwatch shot. And I'm going to check here, see if I have any additional units that I can use to throw another grenade. I don't, and I can't get close enough to have a shot on this turn. So if I get close enough to actually shoot at him, I'll use all 3 of my action points. So that's not really going to work. I end up burning another turn here and just waiting to see what happens because I've got 1 grenade. I think it was Who is 1 turn away from having his grenade ready to go. So I end up burning a turn here because there's nowhere that I can really go to get a good angle on this last drone, which isn't a big deal because you're not going to get hit with reinforcements here. It's just a matter of figuring out what you want to do to safely clean up this last enemy, or if it was a couple of enemies, clean up these last couple of enemies. I decided to play it safe. I am going to Overwatch this corner again with the thought that if the enemy is going to try to advance and cause some havoc, he's not going to go all the way around that building. He's going to take the shorter route. So we'll Overwatch back here where we were just to be safe and make sure that that drone doesn't, like I said, sneak up and do any damage to us. But he doesn't. Again, another stutter step, moves only a couple of paces, and sets up camp right back with the Overwatch looking exactly where it was on the turn before. Thankfully, Who has his grenade ready, so we're going to toss this over the stairs, and this is going to take that drone off the map and clean the map up of all enemies. So here we go. We got a Sabotage. We're going to go blow up that last canister, or blow up the canisters of emulsion. Boom, there it goes. Mission complete. Get our units out of there. Everyone's present and accounted for. So that's it. That's mission accomplished. So we're going to, I'll pop open the cases that we collected, check what we got for rewards, and see if we had any level ups, and that'll pretty much be the end of the video. So you can see we got 1 rare case and 2 epic cases. We also got the an epic scope, so that's not bad. I like seeing those purple rewards. I like seeing the gold rewards even better, but the purple's not bad. Unfortunately, we didn't get any levels here, but we'll open these cases up, and that's going to be the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stick around, there'll be more of these videos on the way, and until next time, take care of yourselves, and bye-bye. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe. You can also check us out on Twitch at Hammer Bros Gaming. I am Bladesofgod, and until next time, have a great day everyone. Until next time, have a great day everyone.